It's Oklahoma Weekly Update on Coffee with Democrats with hosts Scott Hamilton and Kevin Dawson. It's Oklahoma Weekly Update on Coffee with Democrats, the best political satire news show in Oklahoma.
We don't write the headlines write themselves. I'm Scott Hamilton.
And I'm Kevin Dawson.
We took a couple of weeks off, and the Oklahoma State Department of Education goes completely off the rails. To be fair, that started the day that Ryan Walters took office, but he's now been exposed for using Oklahoma tax dollars for his own PR account, paying out-of-state firms thousands and thousands of dollars to make him look good. To us, it just didn't work out that way.
Yeah, it's like putting lipstick on a pig. It's never going to work out.
Exactly right.
Scott, have you read the article in the Oklahoman by the Republican Lisa Lawrence entitled "Why I Can No Longer in Good Conscience Have an R Next to My Name"?
Absolutely. I thought it was a brilliant thought piece.
Yeah, she says, I made the switch today. I logged in to oklahoma.gov, switched my party affiliation. I've been a Republican all of my voting life, and I live in a red state. With the current state of Oklahoma politics, primaries are essentially the only way to have a voice in elections. I gave that up today and registered as an independent because I can no longer in good conscience have an R next to my name. She says Donald Trump took over the Republican Party by emboldening people based on who they hate and what they fear. He has brought out the very worst in us collectively. January 6th was unthinkable, but it is just one of many new lows we have reached since Trump emerged in the political scene. It's becoming a scene reminiscent of Exodus in the Bible when Moses says, "Let my people go." Only now they are now saying, "Get me the F away from these crazies and their crazy, demented leader."
Absolute truth. Absolute truth. Well, Kevin, I know that you know the name Matt Langston, and it probably rings a bell for a lot of folks, but many Oklahomans probably do not know who this Texas operative is. He gets paid more than $130,000 a year for a part-time job teaching Ryan Walters words like woke, terrorist organization, lesbian, transgender, and of course, three-way sex. Hell of a grift, right?
Yeah, no kidding. We're going to go off script here for just a second. This guy actually has an affair with somebody that this $100,000 that we're paying him out of taxpayers is paying his mistress to have a house in Texas.
And evidently it's a big house, Kevin. I saw some photos of it. And I didn't even mention this to you. He's been getting, of course, his health care paid for by the state of Oklahoma. As a part-time employee, he does not earn health care. Also, he's been getting a monthly bonus of $1,000 for overtime. Now, what is overtime on a part-time job?
When the only words that he actually writes for Walters is woke, terrorist organization, transgender, three-way sex. Oh my goodness, This guy's a nightmare. Well, KFOR is reporting today that a third of Oklahoma families receiving private school tax credit make over $150,000 a year. According to the Oklahoma Tax Commission, $49 million of the $150 million in state funds set aside for the Oklahoma Parental Choice Tax Credit System were allotted to families considered low priority. Low priority means rich.
Yeah.
By the Tax Commission during its first year of implementation. Lawmakers who supported the tax credit program lauded that it was a way for low-income families who could not otherwise afford to send their kids to private school to get a chance for their kids to have a private education. Champion of common sense and justice, Democrat State Representative Andy Fugate who opposed the program from the very start, told News 4 he warned his colleagues about this. He warned about this outcome. It's just recognition of the way private schooling works today, Fugate said. When you look at 1/3 of the money going to folks who think in a state of Oklahoma are making nearly 3 times what the median income is for Oklahoma families, the bigger problem is that the money is going to kids who are already attending these schools, whose families are comfortable paying for their education today. And now they're just getting a check from the people of Oklahoma. In addition, Fugate said News 4 reached out to several Republican legislators who all voted in favor for the tax credit to see if they had any thoughts. None, no one, not a single person would speak on the record. Now they're hiding in their closets, hiding from their neighbors and their constituents who want to know why the hell the average taxpayer is providing welfare for the rich.
I would love an answer to that too, Kevin. I swear. It was a boondoggle from the jump, and this was what Lion Ryan and Governor Goober decided that they were going to do, and it was Katie bar the door, and they got their way, and we're all paying for it out the nose, and it's just going to be that way.
Out the nose,
Well,
exactly.
speaking of Walters, it looks like Matt Langston is swimming in the same sinkhole as Walters. An Oklahoma City-based attorney has been in contact with Langston's ex-wife, not the mistress that he has, but the ex-wife. And boy, the stories that she's telling. But Walters and Langston are using the Count 34 playbook by denying, lying, and blaming everyone else except themselves. These next few months may prove very interesting for these two.
Yeah, the playbook goes rule 1.1, lie. Rule 1.2, deny that you're lying. Rule 1.3, if you get caught in the lie, deny the lie. And rule 1.4, go back to rule 1.
Yeah.
So, hey, Scott, did you hear Donald Trump is now a convicted felon?
Did, but I can't hear that enough. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, Donald Trump is a convicted felon. That's it. Just thought I would share that with you.
I appreciate that. Well, a collective sigh of relief, Oklahoma. This legislative session is finally over, and we've concluded that it was one big crappy mess. You may recall that we told you earlier about a bill that would allow corporate chicken farms to dump chicken poop in the drinking water of rural Oklahomans. Well, Governor Chicken Shit could not sign that bill into law quick enough. He's been crowing about it for how good it is for business. Goober, there's more to Oklahoma than big agra. Like, I don't know, people, for instance. This law will increase the water rates for many Oklahomans and creates unnecessary health hazards for rural folks. But of course, you knew that before you signed the measure.
And has no care in the world because in his rich community, they'll never have chicken shit flowing in their water.
That's exactly right.
Did you read the Oklahoman article by Janelle Steckline? It is titled, "Women Don't Need a Bill of Rights to Define Gender. We Need Policies to Improve Our Outcomes." She writes, "I don't need our government to tell me that I'm a woman, and I shouldn't have to prove that I'm one either. Yet our Republican lawmakers want to require just that through the so-called Women's Bill of Rights that the governor signed into law last week. Supporters say the bill is necessary to bring clarity, certainty, and uniformity." So now, not only do Republicans want a checkpoint at all the borders to give women a pregnancy test before they can leave the state, they also want women to expose themselves and verify that they have all the parts and pieces to be qualified as a woman. If women weren't humiliated enough having to strip off their unmentionables in privacy for their OBGYN office visits, now women can be expected to be profiled by morality police and pulled over alongside a road and exposed in public. Is that what we're looking for? Is that what this outcome is coming to? What's next? What's next? Burkas, televangelists like Dusty Devers and Nathan Dom inciting a rabid mob to verify women are women before the Women's College World Series? Oh man, give me a break.
Top 10 state indeed. Well, we've been talking a lot about worthless laws this session, and Oklahoma school children now can skip 3 hours of school every week and receive credit for religious education. While this was clearly aimed at Christian kids, there's an unintended consequence of this law: the Satanic Temple. That's right. Any kid who wants to take classes at the Satanic Temple must be excused from their regular classes, like, oh, I don't know, history and civics and math and English and science. Yeah, and still get credit for their religious education. I swear this whole state is just turning into a very bad episode of Saturday Night Live.
And the author of this bill, he says he doesn't want to talk about hypotheticals. Good job there, buddy.
It's not hypothetical now. It's not hypothetical now. I've been seeing the big rollout from the Satanic Temple. So here we go, kids. Here we go. Speaking of rolling out, you've probably seen commercials for a political wannabe, another one from Texas, Paul Bondar. He finally has an Oklahoma address. Finally. He's renting a condo owned by a Russian singer with ties to Putin.
Oh, my Lord.
That's right. Just what we need in Congress. Another Putin.
As if we don't already have enough.
Yeah.
At the same time, don't you love seeing Republicans exposing the grift and negligence of Tom Cole? And one of the interesting features is Tom's confession to being a Trump follower and devotee. Old Crow Cole doesn't deny that Trump spoke of grabbing women by their genitals. He excuses it. Old Crow Cole doesn't condemn Trump for inciting racists and telling Proud Boys to stand back and stand by. He endorses it with silence with his votes. Old Crow Cole, that's hard to say, and I got to try it one more time.
And you've done it 3 times.
Yeah, Old Crow Cole continues to support the egotistical man whose self-serving actions tear at the very fabric of American democracy. Let's go, Old Crow Cole.
Good job. I would have flumbered it the first time. Well, with 34 felony convictions for his Lord and Savior, Ryan Walters has been using his state Twitter account. Now, state accounts are not to be used to promote a politician. It's right in black and white. But as always, Ryan doesn't feel like the rules apply to him. So he's been using his state Twitter account, 1, to plead for Trump, and 2, to compare himself to Trump. Real Donald Trump. You know, the whole, if they can do it to him, they can do it to you crap.
Right.
Walters is in a real mess now because he saw his political ambitions go up in 34 flames.
You do realize that Trump is now a convicted felon, right?
I know that. You know that. Somebody ought to tell Ryan.
Did you read the Oklahoman story? Switch to new Medicaid model Sooner Select has been a disaster, senator and providers say. The Medicaid program's recent switch to managed care model has been a disaster. Healthcare providers, a consumer, and a state senator said on Wednesday. The problem is more serious in rural parts of the state in that it already faces a shortage of providers and specialists. Well, historically, Oklahoma has been among the worst states for its rate of uninsured residents. Along the number of uninsured Oklahomans decreased significantly after the state expanded Medicaid in 2021. About 12% of the state's population, or 463,300 people, were uninsured in 2022. Will Stitt and his band of Republican misfits admit that they were wrong? Who are we kidding? Stitt and his misfits will continue to punish the poor, moving OK further into being the worst state for healthcare outcomes and provide more health welfare for the wealthy.
Exactly. Kevin, did you hear that?
No, I didn't hear anything.
That's my point. That's the sound of silence since Ryan Walters no longer has free access to his scriptwriters for his KKK Mommies for Liberty minivan videos. While we're pretty certain he's not keeping quiet and focusing on his job, we will just accept the gift of no car videos for a while.
Yeah, how many of you have enjoyed not hearing the diluted, deranged, dangerous rants of Lion Ryan over the last 3 days? While Tapping Walters reads from a script written by a ghostwriter employed as we have learned, Democrat Matt Langston, who is now preoccupied. Isn't this golden?
Kevin, it's good to be back. And until next week, folks, on the Oklahoma Weekly Update on Coffee with Democrats.
I'm Kevin Dawson.
And I'm Scott Hamilton. Thanks so much for joining us. See you next week.
We appreciate everybody. This segment of Coffee with Democrats is brought to you by Steve Holcomb, attorney at law. With family ties to Oklahoma in the legal field that goes back as far as the early 1900s, Steve Holcomb is a well-known and respected attorney at law in Pawhuska, Oklahoma. You can trust Steve Holcomb, attorney at law, with your legal needs. For generations encompassing over 100 years, the Holcomb family name has practiced law and served the cattlemen of Oklahoma. From Marion Holcomb, Steve's great-grandfather, who became a judge among the lands of the Cheyenne and Arapaho tribes in southwest Oklahoma in the early 1900s, who then moved to Pawhuska to practice law, to his grandfather, Thad Holcomb Sr., and his father, Lee Holcomb, who both served as presidents of the Osage County Cattlemen's Association. The Holcomb name has been and still is the trusted name for Oklahomans. As an enthusiastic supporter of Coffee with Democrats, who promotes the Oklahoma standard of service, honor, and kindness, Steve Holcomb is the attorney we recommend going to when you have general practice legal needs. Call 918-287-8762. That's 918-287-8762 to schedule a consultation. Initial consultations may be provided free of charge, or go to holcomb.legal for more information.